Hello everyone, my name is Patty and I wanted to share a story with you about Paul. And before I do that, I'd like to share a little background. I met Paul in 6th grade at St. Jerome's Catholic School in El Cerrito, California. After St. Jerome's, Paul and I attended Albany High School together, and that's where we both formed lifelong friendships with our gang and with each other. I'm here with 3 of them this weekend, Sean, Hans, and Allison. Paul's love of nature was well known, but I was not so enamored. Growing up, I had never camped or hiked, and I had no interest in either. Looking back, I don't remember how it began, but we started camping and hiking together. Paul was our fearless leader. Most memorable were our trips to Yosemite and to Tahoe. I still remember when Paul roused us all to hike to Yosemite Falls at night because he wanted to see it in the dark. I remember seeing the falls by starlight, but mostly I remember the sound of the thundering water. It was magical. I also remember another time when we camped under the stars without a tent, and I saw my first shooting star. Paul made nature fun, safe, and very cool. I wanted to pass that love on to my children, and so we took them hiking. Paul joined us on several occasions, including a trip to Yosemite and many to Tahoe. And through these adventures, my children were introduced to Uncle Paul. Paul had a way of making you feel like you were the center of the universe. His bear hugs, his undivided attention, and his insightful comments made you feel important, heard, and cared for. My children were not immune. In addition to hiking with them, there were water fights in the river, cupcakes to be frosted, board games to be won, skiing and snowboarding to be conquered. And he talked with them. Nothing was too silly or unimportant to share with Uncle Paul. When we were in Tahoe, they would often ask, "Is Uncle Paul coming?" followed by, "Is he bringing Kona?" My children loved them both. Life got busy, and we saw him less, but we still visited when we could. He came to Clara's high school graduation party and brought Mary, and we were so happy to meet her. This spring, my son Ethan graduated from high school, but due to COVID, we did not have a graduation party, and I thought of Paul this summer. I wanted him to see Ethan before he went to college. I know that he got a kick out of my children. On August 13th, Preston and I went to Atlanta to bring Ethan to school. Earlier that week, I was at Sunset in El Cerrito when Hasty Team brought Paul home. It was an emotional week. I brought my sadness from Paul's passing with me, and I wanted Ethan to feel happy about his new college and home. It was a tough balancing act. On August 16th, we said our goodbyes. Preston and I had some time on our hands before our airplane left, so we went to the Ponce City Market in the old 4th Ward. And there we happened on a store called Sugar Boo, purveyors of whimsy. I was busy picking a dream catcher out for Clara, and I saw a sign, a poster really, with a quote from John Muir. It reminded me of Paul, so I asked Preston to take a photo of it, and I wanted a copy of the quote to share with the Albany High School gang. We got to the airport and I texted them a photo of the John Muir quote with the note that it reminded me of Paul. Sean immediately texted back with his own photo and a note. His photo was of a page in a book. The exact quote that I had texted them was underlined. It turns out that Paul and Sean had shared a John Muir book, and in that book, Paul had underlined that quote. The same quote I saw on the sign in Atlanta, the sign that I asked Preston to take a photo of. It took me a moment to grasp what had happened, and I asked Preston what did it mean. He remarked on the coincidences. John Muir in Atlanta, that specific passage in a store called Sugar Boo, purveyors of whimsy. I could see the twinkle in Paul's eyes. And then Preston said that he thought that Paul wanted me to know that he was still with me. And he didn't think that it was a coincidence that Paul had chosen to let me know that he was still with me on the day that we said goodbye to Ethan. I have heard that others have had such Paul moments, and I am grateful for mine. He was with me that day, and I think that he got to see Ethan after all. As for the quote, you may have caught on that it was the same quote Mary also found. I was not aware of that quote until August 16th, but now it will always be a link to Paul. As for the quote, this is what John Muir said that resonated so with him. He said, "The sun shines not on us, but in us. The rivers flow not past, but through us. Thrilling, tingling, vibrating, every fiber and cell of the substance of our bodies, making them glide and sing. The trees wave and the flowers bloom in our bodies as well as our soul. And every bird song, wind song, and tremendous storm song of the rocks in the heart of the mountains is our song, our very own, and sings our love." I feel very blessed to have had Paul in my life, and I'm comforted by the knowledge that he is still with me, with us. Thank you.